I think the biggest news coming out of the weekend, by far, is MJF has returned. Sean Ross Sapp actually kind of posted it last week. I think he kind of knew this was happening,
Yeah.
or at least he had an inkling because they posted a story last week on Fightful Select that MJF was close to returning,
Mhm.
and that he had re-signed with AEW back in 2022, and that
Shocked.
that AEW expected him to be around for an extended period of time,
Yeah.
that he'd be around for a long time, and so the bidding war of 2024 was a work the entire time.
Mhm.
It was all bullshit, and he is back like a vertebrae. He came out and he had knocked out Adam Cole. He spit on the devil mask. He crapped all over his storyline that he wrote and he
Yeah.
created. He crapped all over the kangaroo kick. He did all of that, and then he got one of the most horrendous tattoos. I don't know. Him and Cody Rhodes actually have a competition. That's why I put them on the graphic for this week. But they have a competition going for the worst tattoo in wrestling. He got AEW on a poker chip and that said "Bet on yourself" on his ankle, which is
Yeah.
stupid. But he's back. He ain't going anywhere. MJF.
Yeah, I did appreciate him coming back and just immediately shitting on those two storylines. I think that shows a little bit of humility and acknowledgement of what you were doing wasn't working. Like, I didn't hear anybody who was liking anything that they were doing with that. So, kudos to him for being willing to shit on it. Hopefully, he comes back with a renewed energy and better creative because I think he can be a huge star for them. He just wasn't with that title reign, but good on him to have him back, and hopefully they find better creative for him.
Yeah. Well, it's they don't have creative for him. Max is basically booking his own stuff. Like
Yeah,
everybody, and Joe Lanza said this on his podcast. Everybody always thought that CM Punk was the most powerful guy in AEW, but it was Max.
yeah,
Like outside of Tony Khan, like Max does his own thing. The kangaroo, like that's why I said that the stuff that he was shitting on, those are his ideas. Like the kangaroo kick and the brochachos and all the comedy shtick that he was doing and all the Bruce
yeah,
Pritchard produced stuff that he was doing. That was all him. And it was getting crapped on the entire time, but they stuck with it. And he was as a draw, as a babyface champion draw, he was a flop.
yeah.
He really was. Now, and the company's only gotten worse since then as far as like business wise. And so the company actually needs, even though he was a flop as the champion, the company really needs him right now
Yeah.
back because ratings were not as bad when he was the champion. They were declining when he was champion, but the ratings were nowhere near as bad. And the ticket sales, well, we coined the phrase on this show, on this channel, BOGO Max. That was one of JD's lines, because once he became the champion, they had to do buy one get one free. They're probably doing buy one get two free without him. So
Yeah.
like I think they feel like they could probably sell more tickets with him back. And look, and it was never about Max's talent. Max is fantastic, and I thought he was. His matches have gotten tremendous over the years. Like he is one of the more improved guys I've ever seen in like in a 5-year span. The problem was it was the gimmicks and the shtick and the storylines and all the crap that they were doing. It probably would have worked pretty well in WWE because that's what they do. That stuff doesn't work in AEW because AEW has to be the anti WWE. That's why AEW was created, because we had so many disaffected WWE fans, and we had a hot indie scene that it necessitated, and TNA had basically died. It
Yeah.
necessitated another company that could do the opposite of what WWE is doing. But when Max got the championship, they decided to go down the WWE road. And that's ultimately why it was a flop. We didn't need that out of AEW. So it looks like he's acknowledging that, and he wants to come back. He said no more BS, no more kangaroo kicks, nothing like that. And it looked like during the promo when he spit on the devil mask, and he said anybody that wears a mask is a coward. Well, that was his mask, and he wore it multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, it looked like he was basically ending that feud. Like to me, it seemed
It,
like he was moving on from the Adam Cole story. Like that was how they blew that off.
yeah.
That's the way that I read that, because I don't know when um Adam Brittle Cole is ever coming back. Like I'm sure he'll come back one day, but probably not in time to make it worth it to keep the story alive.
Yeah. that very much felt like this is the conclusion of the feud. It buried Adam Cole, which, if he's not going to be wrestling anytime soon, that's fine. He can heat up another way down the road. But it just felt like it was very much this is the end of the feud that everybody hated. We wanted to give a closing to it, but we didn't want to drag it out any further than we already had to. A lot of the MJF stuff felt very Chris Jericho to me for the longest time. And I think a big part of that was him working with Jericho so much at the start of his career when he was really getting good. And the Jericho feud was good for him, but it felt like he was taking a lot of what Chris Jericho has done over the years. And I give credit to him for recognizing it wasn't working. Close the book on it, move on, let Adam Cole, the whole Undisputed Kingdom thing just needs to go away.
Yeah.
All of those guys were made to look like geeks on last night. It just needs to be done with, refresh it, restart everybody somewhere else.
Yeah. I think the Undisputed Kingdom is, it died before it ever got started, and obviously Roderick Strong lost the Western States Heritage title to Will Ospreay. But yeah, it definitely seemed to me that they blew it off. Now I guess the big question is where do we go from here with MJF, because I don't think they're taking the title off of Swerve anytime soon. I think that they're saving Swerve for Adam Page. I think when Adam Page gets back, that's the move. That's where they head towards, either All In or All Out. That's going to be the next big match for Swerve. So, therein lies the problem. What do you do with MJF, who's very clearly a babyface? Which heel do you pair him up with? There's still juice left in the Samoa Joe match, because Samoa Joe won, right? And MJF won the first one and Samoa Joe won the second one. So they could go back to that, although it looks like Samoa Joe is heading towards a feud with Chris Jericho and the stupid learning tree. So, but they could definitely pivot off of that and give us another Joe and MJF match. Hold on. Lucha Doncic in the chat says, MJF and Christian. And no, because Christian just lost 2 feuds in a row. So like I don't think that MJF is going to want to feud with a guy that's clearly on a significant losing streak. He's going to want to feud with somebody that's hot right now.
Yeah, would Christian want to take another L in a feud? I mean, he was white hot as a heel, but if you lose 3 feuds in a row, man, that's going to cool him off pretty quickly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like I don't know where they go now. Could MJF be the guy that Tony Khan needs to defend AEW in this AEW versus AEW, like AEW heel and AEW babyface, that feud, the war for control of AEW? Maybe Tony Khan, brings in him to be the face of this thing. Because I know Swerve's going to get brought into it, because clearly Adam Page is probably coming back. And if they don't link up Adam Page with the evil EVPs and then just break them off together, then they'll probably have Swerve involved in the mix. And Swerve, and then have Adam Page with the evil EVPs and Swerve's in the mix. But then that would leave Okada and MJF. And I think that Okada and MJF would be a hell of a feud. And I think that's probably somewhere you could go, like All In or All Out.
Yeah.
Wembley is the big show, and so you can lead into save your biggest ones for there. But
yeah, and they did announce the Owen Hart tournament coming back, with a winner getting a title shot at, I believe, All In.
Yeah.
So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yep.
That would be an easy place to slot MJF into the tournament. He doesn't have to win, but it's a good place to just get him back to wrestling, having good matches, and you can figure out the story device from there, however you want to tell it.
I disagree with you there. I think that if you put MJF in the tournament, he has to win.
Yeah.
He's I know Will Ospreay is ultimately going to be their top star, but the moment MJF came in, he threw a wrench into the top star picture, right? Like, he is going to supplant every other babyface just because he's got that kind of charisma. And so I think that if you do have him in the tournament, then you spoil the entire tournament. He's going to win. So I don't know that they put him in the tournament. It would be interesting to see him head into All In and him be the one to take on Swerve. And is that where Swerve drops the title? I don't know. I did hear some stuff that maybe AEW wants to swerve to keep the title through the show in Tacoma, because despite the fact that he has not spent that much time in his life in Washington, they all think he's from there, even though he's from the East Coast. But because he works so many Defy shows and he's got family, I think he was actually born in Tacoma, but he left when he was like really little. He's a military brat. He left when he was really little, went to Germany, and then he basically grew up in Pennsylvania. But everybody thinks he's from that area, and he's actually a draw there. So
Yeah.
I think that I think everything's pretty interesting right now. MJF just I think could actually bolster the product a little bit, a product that needs bolstering.